Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. So if you've been around my channel for any length of time, you know that I don't throw away scraps very often. And today's video is going to show you exactly why. I have a number of things that we're going to use. That roll over there is double-sided adhesive sheets. The gold leafing is from Stampin' Up, then that watercolor scrap, and I've got some dies here. We've got one that makes strips, one that makes circles. Sorry, these are going by so fast. So basically, we're just going to start. So this is a roll of double-sided adhesive, and it is from scrapbook.com. Everything I use, there will be a link in the description, with the exception of the gold leaf. I don't think that's available anymore, but I'll try to find a substitute for you. So basically, I'm taking my strip of leftover watercolor paper, and that is watercolor paper from a couple of years ago. This strip was way too pretty to throw away, and I'm just going to make it even more pretty. So basically, I just put the back side of that down on the double-sided adhesive sheet, and now I'm just trimming the edges so that they're not all sticky and gooey, because that's important because we are going to be using gold leaf. I have successfully gunked up my scissors, and I will clean those off later using a product called Glue Gun. So let's move along here. Those gold flakes, we're going to come back to those. We're going to talk about gold flakes a little bit. But what I'm doing right now is on this watercolor panel, there are some defined lines around where some of the colors dried. Sometimes you get those hard edges with watercolor paints. And basically all I'm doing is taking and drawing a thin line along those lines and anywhere that I want to put the gold leafing at. I recommend that you use a liquid glue to do this. This won't work well with like a tape runner or anything like that. Especially, you can use a tape runner, but I want my lines to be thin, so I'm using liquid glue. I'd recommend a liquid glue that dries relatively quickly because you don't want it to remain super, super wet. So let's talk about the gold leaf. The gold leaf I have is imitation gold leaf. It was put out by Stampin' Up! A couple of years ago. You can get other kinds because this one is not available anymore. But I linked some other ones down below for you that are from Amazon. And they actually make them in all different colors, which I didn't know until today. So gold leaf flakes are normally made out of actual real gold. They hammer that gold into thin sheets, and then they cut or tear the sheets into smaller pieces. It's a process called gold beating, and that's how you get the flakes. The gold flakes that we're using are actually imitation gold flakes, and they're made out of metallic foil. Little bit different process because there's no real gold to hammer down, but you use them in basically the same way. So we've put down our glue, and now I'm just taking some of those flakes, and the flakes are super delicate. You don't want to have any fans blowing in your room whenever you're doing this, and they do tend to stick to everything. So you're going to carefully put your glue flakes down and press them down into your glue flakes, your gold flakes, down into the glue. And you're going to press them down, and then you're going to take a toothbrush, a soft bristle toothbrush. You don't want a hard bristle toothbrush, but a soft bristle toothbrush, and you lightly clear off the excess gold flakes. Now I'm going to do the second half of this panel in the same process. You just put some of the glue down where you want the gold flakes to be. And I'm doing the same thing I did before, essentially, where the hard lines are around my watercolors. I want to cover those up with the gold leaf so that it kind of looks natural, like the gold was, intentionally supposed to be there. So we're going to go ahead and finish gluing this down, and then we're going to do the process again. You just want to carefully reach into your container and get some gold leaf. You can also use the excess like I just did. And again, you just spread this out on top of your glue. You don't want to press down super hard because you don't want the glue to gush through it. The gold flakes are super, super delicate, but they are oh so much fun to use. So we're going to just lightly press this down, and then we're going to use our toothbrush again, and we're going to lightly go over this to get the excess off of it. And again, you want a really light hand for this because you don't want to wipe off all of the gold flakes that you just put on there. And then we're going to brush all this to this side and clean this up. All of the excess gold leaf can be put back into the container at least as much as you can pick up. There's no need to throw those little pieces away because you will be able to use them all again. Okay, so now we're just going to take a paper towel and we are going to lightly buff over the entire piece just to get any last residual gold leafing off of it. And this also helps to set the gold leafing a little bit. And now, as you can see, that piece is jazzed up a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut strips out of that piece. This is the reason why I put the double-sided adhesive on the back of this. I didn't want to have to glue all these pieces down one by one. And putting the double-sided adhesive on the back will help because now they're like stickers. I am going to pop these out of here. I'm trying to keep them all in the same order that they're in so that it looks like the original piece that we used. And I apologize that this is somewhat out of your camera view. I didn't realize that I was out of camera view when I was popping these out. But basically I laid down the die and I'm pushing the pieces through the end of the die. I'm trying to keep them in the same order because that's important. Now I had a couple of pieces here that did not die cut the whole way through, so I'm just going to run those back through one more time so that we can have all of the pieces. I'm not 100% certain that we'll use all of the pieces, but I wanted to have them just in case. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is one by one, I'm going to take these strips and I'm going to peel off the backing and I'm going to lay them down on this card base. This is a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, although we're not going to use it that way. So basically just one by one, peeling off the back because these are just like stickers, like I mentioned. And I'm laying them down. Had I not done the double-sided adhesive on them, I would have had to glue every single individual strip, and that would have taken a lot longer than what this did. Now, I did speed this up because it was a little bit tedious, and it did take a while to get them all under. You want to make sure that when you're doing this, that you line them up as close to the edge as you can get them, and that you put them as close together up and down as you can get them. So we're going to finish out this row. And it doesn't look like I'm going to use all of them. Yeah, so I wouldn't have had to cut those last two. So now I'm going to take this strip and I'm going to cut some circles out of it. 3 circles to be exact. So basically I took a Hero Arts nesting die, figured out what size I wanted to circle because I want to get 3 of them on here. And I'm going to run this through the die cut machine 3 times to cut out 3 circles. And so let's do that part and then we'll come back. Now I noticed when I cut this first circle that it didn't cut the whole way through completely and I had to kind of force it out of there. And that's because of the double-sided adhesive on it. And my plates are a little bit worn. So I decided that I needed to turn my paper the other direction to try to get a different kind of pressure on it. And that seemed to work a little bit better. You got to remember that this is a layer of cardstock, the watercolor panel, which is on watercolor paper with the double-sided adhesive on it, and it's been cut into strips, so it's a lot to go through the die cut machine. And there we have our 3 circles cut out of our panel, and now we're going to put those circles back into the panel. I know that may seem strange because we just cut them out and now we're putting them back in, but there's a reason for that. We are actually going to make 2 cards out of this one panel. Yeah, 2 cards. So I've put the pieces back in where they were cut out of, and now I'm going to use some mint tape to hold those into the back because we're going to cut this piece in half. And there's going to be half for one card, half for the other card. And that's the 2 pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to take 2 card bases. These are standard A2 size cards. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And where's the other one? I know there it is. Okay, so 2 card bases, and we're going to fold those really well and burnish that edge. We're going to do the other one. There we go. Now we're going to turn that strip over after making sure that it is the right size, and it is. We're going to turn that strip over. We're going to remove the mint tape, trying to keep these circles intact, and then we're going to carefully turn this over so that the pieces are all still semi-lined up there. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other one. Yeah, we're going to build both of these cards pretty much at the same time. Whenever I do cards, I tend to make my cards in 2s. That way I have one to send now and one to either give away to somebody for them to send. Or if I don't have somebody to give that card away to, then I'll just put it in my stash to send out later. So now what I'm doing, and this is a little confusing, but the half circles that were in the card on the left, I'm actually turning them upside down and putting them on the card on the right. And then the ones that are on the right, the half circles are going to get turned around and go on the card on the left. So it forms a circle, but the inside area of the circle is not filled in. And the outside part of the circle is our stripes. It's just kind of a neat design. I originally saw Natasha Foote do this probably a good year or two ago. And I've made many of these cards since then. I love the design. It just has a really cool look to it. So I just glued down the longer piece, and now I'm gluing the half circles to match up where the edges would be, so that it completes a circle. So it looks like there's still 3 circles. It's just the inside of those is not filled in. I'm going to do that on both cards. So if you wanted to, on the inside of the circle where there isn't stripes, you could easily take some little flower stamps and you could stamp them in there and then just add a sentiment and call your card done. I've done cards like that. They turn out super cute when you do that, but we're not going to do that today. So now I'm taking my sentiment. This is out of it's probably retired at this point, but a Stampin' Up set. You can use any sentiment that you want on these. I wanted to be able to use these kind of as a thinking of you card without actually saying thinking of you, or they could be used as a sympathy card or just an encouragement card. So I'm going to put my stamp down, and this is a Misty. You've seen me use this before. And I am using Stampin' Up! Ink to do this. You can use any kind of ink. You can use any kind of sentiment. You make the card for whatever you need it to be for. In this case, I am going to go ahead and just stamp this sentiment down. And again, this is an encouragement card. Both of these will be pretty much the same, just to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to stamp that down twice, and then we're going to go ahead and stamp down the other one. You notice I did remove that black sheet out of my Misty. That's a foam pad. And because my rubber stamps are red rubber and they have foam on the back, I didn't need that black sheet in there. So I took that out. Okay, so while I'm stamping, while I have the ink out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my stamp on the back. I've got a couple of custom stamps that I had made by Magnets and Stamps. I'll put the link to their website below. Just something I like to do to personalize them. So now we're going to add some bling. These are just basic, easy cards. So my bling, this is my little bling box. This is most of the bling that I own, except for bling that I've made with Nuvo drops. But most of these I've had since my scrapbooking days. And a lot of times scrapbooking stuff will translate over to card making. So if you were a scrapbooker, go through your stuff and see what you can find to be able to use on your cards. So I've decided I'm just going to scatter some of these gems down below. And I'm not sure who made these ones exactly. They might be Honeybee. They might be scrapbook.com. They could be somebody else. These could be ones that I bought 10 years ago. I have no idea. These little gems last a long time. So, yeah, so I'm just going to do the same thing on this one. I'm just going to put some glue down, put some gems on it. And this is pretty much going to be our cards. Or so I thought. Admittedly, whenever I make cards, I don't always finish them in the first session. I do like to set some of them out on my desk if I'm just not sure if it's, really done or not. And I'll walk by them for a day or two, looking at them and trying to decide, do they need something else? That turned out to be the case with these ones. These ones sat on my desk for a couple of days. I thought they were pretty, but they just needed something. And then I decided that I was going to add something else. So I have this die, and it has butterflies on it. The butterflies are not connected together. It's kind of like a confetti die. And it's really kind of cool, too, because you can put a piece of paper down on this, and you can cut a butterfly wreath out of it, where it will cut like the aperture holes that are shaped like butterflies, which is really cool. But we're not going to use it like that today. Instead, I am going to take little pieces of scraps. Yep, scraps. You guessed it. This is glitter paper. Specialty paper. I definitely save the scraps if I think I'll be able to use them. And this is pink glitter paper that I had, just some strips. And I'm going to cut some butterflies out of them. I like that it's glitter paper. It's going to give me that little something extra that I was looking for. So I'm just strategically placing this leftover glitter paper where the butterflies are and where some of the little dots are. And I'm going to run this through the die cut machine. And we're pretty much going to make butterfly confetti, I guess you would say. And there, you can see how tiny they are. They're super, super tiny. But they're going to be the perfect size for the front of this card. And the light pink glitter paper was actually a good choice because there's a lot of light pink on that watercolor strip. And it'll help to bring it out a little bit. So we're going to run this back through. Again, I need more butterflies because I have 2 cards. So same process. We're just going to put some little strips down on here, and we're going to cut out some more butterflies. Now that we have all of our butterflies cut out, I'm going to just start randomly placing them on the cards. I didn't have a rhyme or reason for what I was doing, except for the fact that I wanted to look like they were just fluttering up the page. And I'm going to start to glue these down now. You can place your butterflies wherever you want. This would be another cute thing, that if you didn't want them going up the center of the pages, you could put the butterflies in the half circles that are empty, and that would be super cute as well. But I just thought it would be really cute to put them going up the side, or up the front of the cards. And then you see that pile of debris over there. It's not actually debris. That's circles that were cut out with the butterflies. And because they are pink glitter, I thought it would be cute to just scatter these on the front of the card as well. I know I have bling on here, but now I have little pink gold circles as well. And I've got leftover butterflies and leftover circles, and I really didn't want to have to store those, so we're going to put some on the inside too. I don't always decorate the inside of my cards, but when I have little leftover pieces like this, then I will, because I don't want to have to store tiny little pieces like this, because chances are they'll never get used. So it's better to go ahead and use them. I definitely don't mind storing little pieces if I cut a whole bunch of them, but in this case it looks like there's going to be just 2 butterflies left and then some little dots, which is definitely not worth trying to figure out how to store them and then trying to remember that I have them. So that's going to finish off our cards. And what I want to know is, do you think it was worth saving that piece of scrap watercolor paper to make these 2 cards? Would you save small scraps like that to make cards? Let me know in the comments. And thank you for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing these, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.